Welcome to another episode of Debating is for Life. I am your coach, Tamer, and with us today, Debating is for Lifer, Eleanor Gao. Welcome, Eleanor. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
How are you doing?
I am good, very good. Just any ordinary morning.
Eleanor, you're only the second student of mine to actually make it onto the show. I consider you to be just a cool person. Never mind a debater, but
Oh,
you're a really
damn.
great debater. But I find you to be very cool, almost precocious, an old soul. Have you ever heard that before?
Actually, I have not, only from you, probably because you only see my debating.
In our class, you were always, I think, a little bit older than everybody else, maybe by 1 year. And so I
I
called you
was
the
not.
village elder, and I made ageist jokes about you. But so, I don't know, maybe that's why I consider you a little bit older. But I don't know. It is when I talk to you, it seems more familiar. You seem to be able to, I don't know, talk on my level. Do you find that? Are you able to talk to adults easily?
Um, to my family, yes. But to professionals, sometimes I still get like a little stuttery, you
Okay,
know.
maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe I've overestimated you all this time. All right, we're gonna see how this goes. All
The
right, but
filter.
anyway, we have a long history together in Debating Edge, and you kind of what do you remember when you joined the program?
I think it was like 2019.
2019, so like 4 years
Yeah,
ago, and
yeah.
maybe closer to 5 years ago. But I've known you for a long time, and you've left the program, but you've still come back as a volunteer, and you've been helping out in our senior level 4, junior level 4. I really appreciate that. It really helps to have somebody like you kind of as a role model for everybody coming up in the program. But I have something I want to share with you that I
Yes.
dug up from the archives. You
Oh.
remember this?
Oh, I do not have a good feeling about this. Oh no.
That's
No,
why.
we can't learn everything by just sitting in class all day, listening to someone read off of a book. We need to get involved by actually interacting with our society. So why are we spending 4 years being stuck in a room reading and learning when we can spend these four
Oh,
years going out in the real world and getting to experience what it's like?
Oh my
how
God.
old were you in this clip?
Probably eighth grade. Eighth
Eighth grade.
grade-ish.
So probably
Yeah.
close to when I met you in the eighth grade. You
Mhm.
already were quite a proficient speaker. Have you always had that inside of you, like this ability to express yourself and wanting to talk?
Had not actually. I was quite timid before, like before the public speaking class that I took with you. And then after that, I went into debating. I don't know if you still remember. Yeah.
Public speaking class. I don't know. I don't remember doing a public speaking class.
At the beginning, like the
Oh,
very, very beginning
level
of
one and
stuff.
level two. Level one and level two are all public speaking. Like we don't debate in the early days of the program. Yeah,
True. Yeah. Yeah.
that's probably what you mean. But anyway, you
Now,
stuck with this program consistently. And here's another clip when you got a little bit older and you were in this big debate with all the heavy hitters. Let's watch a bit.
This method of online class actually benefits all students. I myself, I right now live by the University of Toronto. Every day in the morning when I get up to get to school, there is so much traffic that we need to spend 3 or 4 times as much time arriving at the destination. Our 7-minute drive to my school often turns into 20 or 25 minutes or sometimes 30 minutes.
Wouldn't you agree that university students, as innate autonomous beings, have the fundamental right to drive wherever they want and go commute if they want to?
Of course they do. There are people who work online, of course, but there are people who simply cannot work online.
See, that's what I call good debating instinct. Because when people when you agree with the POI, and of course it's true what you say. However, and that's what we do as debaters when we try to find a way to be agreeable and then find a little nuanced advantage. And so
Yes.
I think people who don't debate are all too eager to kind of strike down the opponent's argument just because they said it. So I think you
Yes.
have a very good debating instinct. Actually, just recently, just a couple of weeks ago, you went to a tournament.
Yes, I did.
And there's Donald. Donald was your partner, and Donald has also kind of one of the original gangsters, OG, the original Debating Edge alumni. And he also
Mhm.
is just like you. He's in grade 12, and you're just finishing grade 11. he came back also as a volunteer, and I couldn't be more happy to have you guys reconnected to the program and competing on behalf of Debating Edge. So this was your very last tournament, I guess, of the year. Maybe you can do a couple more
Yes.
next year, but how did it go, and what was your experience like? And overall, what is it like to compete with other trained debaters? I find it terrifying. I'm the coach, but I never go and do what you guys do, spend a whole weekend debating BP. What is that like?
I think I actually found it quite terrifying as well, especially after not competing for like, I don't know, a year and a half. But got used to it after the first 1 or 2 rounds. I think that there are definitely a lot of people who don't speak the same way as people I know, or like within the community, right? It's just like getting a bigger scale, a bigger view of things when you go to competitions. You see how other people speak, you see how they deliver their arguments, and it's just a whole big world. Yeah.
Okay.
Overall, experience was great, very close to breaking, which was kind of good, at the same time, kind of sad.
And for those people who don't know, breaking at a debate tournament means like reaching the semifinals and sort of getting past the original heat, the first group of debaters. And so once you break, then you're in kind of the peloton, and that's from that area is where you can actually try to win the tournament. And so you were like 1 point away from breaking with Donald, which is very sad. It's just on the edge,
Yes.
and a lot of times in tournaments, it really comes down to the judging, and judging at tournaments is always very wonky and unpredictable and uneven, inconsistent. That's one of the banes of debating life. Like we spend a lot of time training debaters to be very high quality debates, and then we get these terrible low quality judges at the tournaments. And so sometimes it's just like the way the ball bounces, and in this case, it bounced on the wrong side of the fence for you. But
Yes.
anyway, how would you describe your whole debating journey and how it affected your life, how it changed you as a person? Give us a little sense on people who've never debated before. What difference does it make in your life?
Um, so when I was younger, I was actually quite a timid person. I feared like speaking, public speaking, stuff like that. Tried many methods and stuff, didn't get rid of the fear. And then I tried debating, and then I was like, okay, that's just I came into debating thinking it was just like another method of an argument. And I was like, okay, I'm great at arguing with people. Which I was not. Well, I was not. So,
Well, probably the truth was you were probably very bold and not and unafraid to speak your mind, which
yeah.
we always like. I think we use the term arguing too loosely, but you're not really arguing, or maybe you were, but you were, that quality of being bold comes in handy in a debate. But all the other qualities of an arguer, you got to leave that aside, right?
Yes, yes. But overall, I think like debating for such a long time has made me more fluent in talking, definitely, and have more courage when I'm talking to a larger audience. At the same time, I think I could, use a more enhanced vocabulary as I speak. At the same time, lastly, which I think is really important, a lot of people like ignore this part in debating, is that it makes you a really good listener. Because as you listen to your opponents, as you listen to, your partner's speech, and you collect the details from that, thinking what you should say in correspondence to, let's say, their speech,
Yeah.
right? It really
That's
puts
definitely
a
like
good
a
hand on
hallmark
you.
of a good debater is that you can tell a good debater is listening because their responses are precise, and
Yes.
debaters are listening for their opponent's language even, and seeing how they can use that same language and turn it against them. And so
Yeah.
when I'm listening, like during the sparring matches, I'm always listening for your phrases, your buzzwords, what you're saying, how can I use that, turn it against you, what can I agree with, and so when a debater responds, it usually starts off with your point is well taken, I understand what you're saying, I even agree with you on this point, we find common ground, but here is where our kind of opinions diverge. And that is a very nuanced, mature response, as opposed to arguers as no, you're wrong, right?
Yes.
But you must find it almost like a superpower to have the skill, every time you're confronted with people who want to argue, or don't you find that you're in control of those situations because of the skill that you have?
Yes, I do. It just makes me, more comfortable, and like sets a logical path when I'm trying to, get something through.
I always tell people, it's like, people don't understand that about debating. I say, if you see an MMA fighter, all muscular and tough, would you want to fight that person? Of course not. But it's the same thing when you meet a debater and you can sense that a person has got a good command of language, is verbally tough. You're not going to want to argue with that person. Then you'll find someone else to argue with. And so it's almost like you have this like force field around you, and people will give you a wide berth once they sense this about you, and people can sense it right away, right? You look people in the eyes, you're unafraid, you're forthcoming, and so on. Anyway, I love that about debating, because it's a real reward at the end of the whole program. You have this force field and this ability to kind of push your agenda and get what you want. Anyway, I also understand that you have a social media presence, and can you tell me a little bit about that?
I do. I started vlogging in around the end of 2020, and so I would say it's going pretty well. I have a decent amount of clout on like the Chinese version of TikTok. It's called Douyin. It's not international. It's
Wait
kind
a
of
second.
just like
Is
in China.
blogging, is it writing or video?
Vlogging, like video.
Vlogging, right? So
Yeah.
what do you do? Like what exactly do you do? You say this is in China or for
Yes.
Chinese audience?
Yes,
You do
for
it,
the
you
Chinese
do it in
audience.
the Chinese language?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Mostly. Yeah. And sometimes I even do some like English lectures, education kind of thing
do
on
you have
there.
a bunch of followers on your vlog?
I have about 340K.
Come on. 340K? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm
I have
serious.
98. Why
We
am
all
I
come up from there.
interviewing me on your vlog? Anyway, is it possible that some of your followers are going to become my subscribers and then want to watch you on this?
Perhaps, if you send me a little clip, I'm probably gonna post it.
Well, usually what happens is the whole show goes on Spotify, and then the 6 separate segments go on YouTube, and then eventually when I get around to it, the little smaller 1-minute bits go onto TikTok. And so maybe you
Oh, I
can
see.
eventually,
Okay.
some of your fans might find their way to be my fans.
That sounds good.
Well,
Yes.
how did you get 3? Is it just because it's China and there's tons of people? And how did you get 340,000 people to be interested in your vlog? Like, what are you doing in this vlog?
Well, I used to be more on the comedy side. So I would like make funny videos for people and then kind of just share my life, which is hilarious, by the way, apparently.
Well, like what? Give me an example. Like, what kind of things you share?
Like I would sometimes just go to the mall and stuff like that and then film myself doing stuff. And then on the other hand, I would like, sing in my house and post my singing videos. Apparently, like sometimes I make mistakes and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And so then I put it in the video and people think it's funny and I get all the clout from that. So
See, this is what
yes.
drives me nuts. He's like, I see this since I got into social media presence. I've noticed something.
Yes.
If you put a video that's just goofy of you dancing and singing for 10 seconds, you're gonna get 1,000 hits. But if you spend a bunch of time and put a thoughtful video and talk about an issue and put in real intellectual content, nobody cares about that at all.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I thought. I said, if I put out these amazing videos full of this discourse and interesting things about life, surely people will want that. No, people are not interested. I think if I went like this, people will hit.
Well, the thing is, I never really wanted to be funny. I kind of just wanted to like share my life. And I was like, I think my life is interesting, which appeared interesting, but just not in the same way I thought it was.
Well, what way do you think it's interesting?
I just thought, I go to all these places, I do all this stuff in my daily life. I think people would like to watch it, but I guess they just kind of liked how hilarious it was.
And are you planning
I
to
take it
do
for granted.
anything with this cachet? Are you gonna like cash in on this sometime? All these followers. Is there any way that you can, I don't know, build on that?
Yes, there are many ways that I can get like a lot of income, mostly with like sponsors and stuff like that with like live streaming. But I don't have time for that. It's really just for fun for me.
That's interesting
So
you say that, because actually I've been learning that as well, that if a lot of YouTubers are experiencing burnout and retiring from the limelight because they realize that it looks fun when you're watching them, but for them it's a slog. Every single day you have to produce content. If you miss 2 days, you lose up 10,000 followers, and so you're just
yeah,
constantly like a slave to the content. And it
yes,
becomes tedious and overwhelming and actually exhausting. And a lot of YouTubers are retiring, and some of them have even, you know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah, I get it.
So
Social media is a really rigged place.
yeah, that's why I think it's a good idea to kind of, if you're going to produce content on social media, do something that's true to your heart, do something that's really
Yes.
you, so that it's not a fake presence. And it's because then you're going to have to kind of prolong this whole fake show. That's probably going to get tedious. All right, let's move along.